Sahavadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiveshakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Oh no. Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone, it's me, the old school monk, and I forgot to switch my spell book at the beginning of this exciting trip to Commander Ziliana. But that's alright, we'll get on with it. How's everyone? Hope you're doing well. I'm just giving you a little cheeky video today, just for the sake of appearing in your feed. Just still enjoying doing this this God Wars boss, Commander Ziliana. I like it because it's quite mindless at this point, and also I like the strategy of trying to sort of manage your inventory, and also the excitement of potentially getting a drop. You can't really beat that, I think. I've been thinking a lot about a lot of stuff and kind of living my life a little bit, and I've come to the conclusion that what you appreciate appreciates. So the things that you've developed a taste for, the things that you like to listen and hear about, they increase in your life. And the things that you neglect to hear of kind of shrink within your life. So let me explain, let me qualify my statement. Me myself, I found myself listening to some videos on the topic of Pokemon cards. So there's this really cool YouTuber called Deep Pocket Monster, and he does these kind of really nicely edited videos which center around the goal of trying to kind of complete a certain set of Pokemon cards, and I found myself becoming very obsessed with such content, to the point that I've ended up like visiting a local Pokemon card shop and buying my own little Pokemon cards. And I realized, okay, yeah, because I listened to that and watched those videos, then my interest in Pokemon has increased to the point that I've actually manifested within my life a small Pokemon card collection. And I'm sure many of the audience may have done the same thing. Like, and it's interesting, this obsession with collecting and acquiring and putting beans away for a rainy day, or trying to possess a certain sort of chunk of this universe that we exist in, you know. Whether it's, okay, I want to buy a house and collect all nice furniture so that I can feel nice and warm and comfy when I'm in my nest, or if it's like, okay, I want to purchase 25-year-old pieces of shiny card so that I can look through my plastic book and get little hits of nostalgia of being a kid. Little kind of simple, joyous thrill of, you know, like when you're a kid and life's a bit simple. And for me it was, I just have these really fond memories of like summertime, summer holidays, families having a barbecue, and I'm there on my Game Boy. It wasn't even a Game Boy Advance, it was just an old school Game Boy, playing Pokemon Red version as like a 6-year-old, you know. Core memory level stuff. And so then kind of playing with these Pokemon cards that are from that era, it really promotes that kind of nostalgic feeling. So now as an adult, 31 years old, 25 years later, I'll pay a pretty premium to experience just a splash of that childlike innocence. And you can see it if you look around the world. The whole world's again going crazy for Pokemon cards. Well, not really the whole world, but a certain subsection of nerds, basically. But ultimately, those Pokemon cards are only valuable because the people that want to buy them assign a sort of value to them. And that value, I think, for the main point with the vintage, the old Pokemon cards, is that feeling of nostalgia. So, just being nostalgic, it's sort of it's a pleasurable experience, I think. Particularly, I forgot my thralls. Particularly being nostalgic about a certain time in our life where potentially the stresses were lower. We felt as though we were in a happier place. So we'll pay to kind of relive that, if at least just through a small memory. And a lot of RuneScape can be about that, right? Like the reason we got back into old school RuneScape, potentially, if we ever left in the first place, was for that nostalgic feel of these kind of very simplified graphics at this point in time. Simplified graphics, kind of click-based medieval. There's just so much nostalgia wrapped around this game. It's just something I'm literally just speaking out loud and kind of trying to formulate thoughts on the fly. But yeah, is there any purpose, any real reason for us to invest so much time, energy, money, whatever you want to call it, in seeking nostalgia? I'm thinking off the dome, probably not. But then again, it could be a tool of introspection. You know, it depends how conscious you are of the whole thing. If you're just doing it because it's like, oh, shiny Pokemon cards, maybe not. But if it's like, okay, I want to work through this and sort of understand myself through this kind of exploration into something that is pretty silly, maybe it's different. But who knows? And then back to that topic that we spoke of at the beginning of, you know, kind of collections, this urge to kind of segment a little portion of this universe and call it ours. Really, that's kind of illusion, right? That's an illusion. Like, the only thing that you can take with you at the time of death is the things that you own. Think about that. That's a bit of a meditation. The only things you can take with you at the time of death are the things that you own. And I'm not talking about the 3 items or maybe 4 items if you protect item. I'm talking IRL. You actually cannot take a thing with you at the time of death. So therefore, we don't really own anything. We're just sort of shepherds. We're just sort of temporary possessors of this kind of little chunk of reality. Whether it's a house, whether it's an array of Pokemon cards, whether it's a RuneScape account even, we don't actually own these things. Like, I'm sure if you read even the legal small print of your RuneScape playing thing, Jagex actually owns your RuneScape account. Like, you don't really own it. It's their intellectual property. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe not. I'm no lawyer. But ultimately, like, we're just shepherds. Why do I keep saying shepherds? We're just sort of custodians of these small, kind of minute portions of the universe for a brief flash in eternity. You know, like a very short period of time do we exist in this form, in this incarnation of whoever is listening to this YouTube video right now, whatever your name may be. It's just a flash in the eternal journey. So it makes you ponder, okay, what is the thing that I do own? What is the kind of eternal feature that accompanies me? And to answer that one, I guess you could go to the kind of scriptures of the world, the Vedic scriptures, the Bible, the Quran, and all of them will teach the same thing, is that actually the only portion or the only thing that you truly possess within this reality is your eternal relationship with the Supreme, with the Divine, with the source of everything. That's an eternal relationship with God, or as I like to call him, Krishna. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whilst we have this human form of life, which allows us a facility to kind of ponder and introspect, pray, meditate, there's so many luxuries which are given to us by dint of having a human body. We have to make the most of it and inquire into like, okay, how can I reawaken my relationship with God, and how can I kind of redevelop that relationship? Because I've come to the conclusion, just by observation, observing the world around me, that I've come to the conclusion that actually nothing is mine, and this world is temporary, and there's no real lasting happiness here. You know, a lot of the happiness that we call happiness is actually just like a cessation of misery. Oh my god, I'm getting heavy for you guys, but it's true, you know, like maybe you feel a bit of anxiety, stress, depression, you feel some kind of uncomfortable feeling in the pit of your existence. In the core of your heart you feel a bit of an itch or a scratch or a wriggle or a tickle. So then you use some sort of method of happiness, whether it's drinking something that makes you drunk, or playing a game that helps you to forget about your kind of existential crisis, or maybe it's like even just something a bit more healthy and savory, like taking a long walk in nature and just breathing the air. But either way, we have to come with these different methodologies to help us kind of come to terms and deal with that inner unhappiness. And these things, they're not really bringing us happiness, they're just bringing us a little bit of a break from the distress. Wow, this really is happy. Really is heavy, you know. But you know, it's something that I'm not trying to be heavy, I'm just trying to speak a bit of truth on the matter, just for the sake of sobriety and for the sake of sharing the truth, because ultimately, you know, the lies that are being spread around the world, that this will bring you happiness, that will bring you happiness, actually those lies are kind of dangerous, because it's causing everyone to enter deeper into the illusion. It's kind of like moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Like, the ship's going down, ladies and gentlemen. Like, no one gets out of this world alive. Like, we have to think about that, you know. So it's like, okay, no one gets out alive. That's a fact. That's a truth. We don't like to hear it, and it makes us wriggle and uncomfortable, and it causes so many of us to go to substance, go to distraction, go to all kinds of things, just so that we don't have to actually sit with that reality. But I think it's healthy to hear it, and but in measured doses. But speak to me in the comments. Maybe you feel extremely triggered, or maybe you feel refreshed to hear the truth. But this world is temporary, and really the only eternal thing that we have is our relationship with God. And so let's open the dialogue today. And opening the dialogue can look different for different people. Maybe it's kneeling down next to your bed at the end of a day and praying with your hands folded, old school, like some sort of American movie. But I was never raised on that methodology of communing with God, but many people do it, and many people swear by it. Maybe that's like your method of prayer, or maybe it is something more kind of wholesome. Not that the other thing isn't wholesome, but something more appealing to your nature, like maybe you like to go for a walk in nature and just sort of get lost in the complexity and the simplicity of nature, and sort of, I don't know, meditate on the sort of divinity and the design that seems to appear behind everything. Because think about it, right? A lot of what we're taught at school, under the banner of science, which, don't get me wrong, I have absolutely zero problems with science, because science just is about pursuing the truth. But under the banner of science, we're taught so many things, like, for instance, the idea that all of the ingredients of the universe started as like a little blip in space, and somehow they exploded and formed this incredibly complex mechanistic system that we see with so many solar systems and so many, the water system, the just look at nature and see how complex and sort of systematic the whole thing is. But somehow or other, all the ingredients just exploded, and out of that explosion appeared a fully working universe, just by chance. Like, that's like me taking apart a Swiss watch. Like, if you see like a fancy Rolex or one of these watches which has 200 or 300 parts, and they're all kind of designed to move in a certain way. It's like me taking every single one of those 200, 300 parts and just throwing them in the air, and somehow or other, all of those different parts of the watch land, and I've got a brand new watch again that's working, If I said, I can do that, you'd be like, okay, that was skill, that you threw it in that way, that it landed as a fully mechanistic working system which allows you to tell the time. But we all know that the chances of that being done without an intelligence behind it, it's not possible. Think about it. Like, have you ever heard of something so ludicrous? But then again, because they told us in school that the Big Bang thing is the truth, we just kind of blindly accept it, and if you don't accept it, then you're against science, you're against sort of rationality and truth. But how many of us are actually examining what science means, and like what not what science means, but what science is teaching us, Because I never thought about these things till I came in contact with kind of Krishna consciousness and this alternative worldview, this God-centered worldview. I was always kind of taught in school or just taught by my friends that if you believe in God, then you're one of those crazy people, Creationism, what a stupid idea that is. But let's think about it logically. It's just not possible. Like, even if you look at evolution, like I'll take another swing. Evolution is this theory that random mutations causes random mutations causes like sort of benefits for a species, and enough random mutations put together causes a species to completely change. And it was formulated this is what I learned when I was like 15, so sorry if I'm not a very good biologist, but like, based on the Galapagos Islands, Charles Darwin, he observed the difference in finches, little birdies, and said, yeah, random mutations causes a finch to change its kind of characteristics. But then, it's a big leap to say, okay, because a moth changed colour, the kind of human form has come about just by millions and millions of little random mutations. Like, I was listening to I think he's like a statistician, and he was talking about the complexity of the human eye, and he said the amount of random mutations that it would take to form such a complex shape is completely statistically impossible. Absolutely impossible to have such complexity. Like, in terms of our understanding of how old the universe is, there's just not enough time to allow for that many complexities and mutations and so on and so forth. So, but I'm not a biologist, so I probably sound like a bit of a dummy. But what I'm saying is, maybe we should question the things that we're being taught as science, basically, because who knows, potentially they could be pulling the wool over our eyes. They could be kind of and it's not saying that it's a sinister thing, actually. It's it could potentially just be a case of they don't know but they want to have something to teach, because it is. I'm not really one of these people that's saying that there's a whole conspiracy theory to kind of the government are keeping us in ignorance. No, I think even they don't know, but they're bluffing, Who knows? Who's they anyway? But yeah, let me know what you think. Maybe I sound like a complete momo when I start talking about the science stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm not a scientist, so please forgive me. But I don't know. I feel like I don't want to end the video there on this kind of like jolty jolt. So I guess we'll just kill one more zilly, and potentially she'll give us a nice drop, and then we can just distract ourselves from what I just spoke about by talking about kind of the happenings on RuneScape, which is ultimately irrelevant, but also entertaining. So who knows? Maybe you find relevance in that entertainment. But I'm starting to see that actually it's just like all the other entertainment of this world is fleeting, and it basically is centered around this cessation of suffering as opposed to generation of happiness. Do you get what I'm saying? Like instead of it giving me happiness, it's just helping me to forget about how much I'm suffering in this world, you know. If you listened this far, then please don't unsubscribe, and leave Armadillo Crossbow as a comment below so that I know that you got to the end and saw me get this nice... Oh, it's just 20k. 20k is better than zeros. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Hare Krishna.